Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to share with you my recipe for my pork chops and cherry peppers. Now, pork chops and hot peppers, which is what cherry peppers are, is such a classic Italian dish. I remember eating it so much growing up because I spent a lot of my time at my grandparents' house, and this was one of my grandfather's favorite ways to eat pork chops. So it's also one of my dad's favorite ways as well. This recipe could not be easier to do. You're going to need a handful of ingredients, so let's go over them so we can get started. You're going to need some beautiful pork chops, some thin cut pork chops. You're going to need some cherry hot peppers, a little bit of white wine, a little bit of flour, some parsley, olive oil, and salt and pepper. So like I said, this recipe is like it takes easy to a whole other level, but they're so good. You want to get a nice large pan here over medium-high heat, get that preheating. And to that, I'm going to add in a little bit of olive oil. It doesn't take a whole lot, maybe about a tablespoon and a half. Now I'm going to prep my pork chops. You want to make sure your pork chops are nice and thin. And this is where it's completely up to you. You can have them on the bone or off the bone. In my family, my grandfather, my mother, my dad, they wouldn't dream of eating pork chops without the bone. I mean, the fun of it is just like to eat everything off the bone. For me, it really does not matter. So all I'm doing is sprinkling just a teeny tiny bit of flour onto my pork chops, and this is going to create not only a nice crust, but it actually tastes really good. And once we add the wine, the flour is going to thicken it up a little bit. So it's really good. Just going to season it with salt and pepper, then kind of pat the flour into your pork chops just a bit, and it really isn't a whole lot. I mean, a tablespoon total is what you're going to need. Just flip them over and do exactly the same thing on the other side. Pork chops look good, so now I'm just going to put them right into the hot skillet here. That's a good sound. Just put them all in there, trying to get them to fit snugly. There we go. I'll do a second batch for the extra one because it won't fit. Now, those are going to cook for just a couple minutes on that side. They literally, because they're so thin, they cook incredibly fast. So I'm just looking for about 2 minutes, and I'll show you what to do next. While my pork chops are cooking, all I'm doing is taking my little cherry peppers, and I'm kind of breaking them apart with my fingers and getting rid of most of the seeds. Now, these come in like a vinegar brine, and they're usually in the same aisle that you get your olives and your capers and all that fun stuff. But sometimes in different supermarkets will give you an option of either mild or hot. If you like super hot food, buy the hot ones. But I usually go with the mild because they're hot enough. So now these are ready to turn. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Beautiful. And now to them, while they're cooking on the second side, I'm going to add in my cherry peppers. They give flavor, they get crisped up, and they are delicious. So you can add as much or as little as you want. It's totally an optional thing. And let that cook for just a few more minutes or until the second side is done. The pork chops are fully cooked. And all I'm doing is just removing them to a plate. Look at that. Those peppers get kind of like caramelized and crisped up. I just love this. I don't want to lose any peppers. And all I'm going to do now is cook my other pork chop because I couldn't fit it into the pan. So I'm going to just cook it separately, and this is going to take no time at all. A couple minutes on each side and it's done. Then I'll show you how to finish it. Taking my last one off. Here we go. Now to my skillet here, I'm just going to add a little bit of white wine. And if you don't like wine, you can completely omit the step. Doesn't need it. But I just like the extra little edge of flavor. And then just a sprinkle of parsley and let that cook just for a second. That looks good. You're just kind of looking for it to reduce. And again, it's just a very small amount, just enough to give it extra flavor and keep the pork chops very moist. That's it. Drizzle this on. Look at that. I just love home food. Like, this is not by any means like fancy meal, but it's something I grew up eating, and it just means more to me than any fancy dinner at a beautiful bistro. It's just, this is kind of food I like to eat. Just gonna give this a quick bite. I want a hot pepper. It was so good. It's so simple, so easy, yet it has so much flavor. And once you make pork chops like this, in any way that just gives them a little extra flavor, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to achieve that. Pork chops are a blank canvas. They don't taste like a whole lot. It can be very bland. So a recipe like this, where it's so quick and easy, 10 minutes, you're done, brings them to a whole other level. I hope you've enjoyed spending time with me. Go to www.laureninthekitchen.com to get this recipe, get in your kitchen, and get to cooking. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.